What happens when a normal morning talk show conversation suddenly turns into one of the most awkward and tense moments in daytime TV history? Kelly Clarkson, known for her warmth, honesty, and down-to-earth nature, found herself in a situation that tested every bit of her professionalism. The cameras were rolling, the audience was watching, and what started as a friendly chat quickly turned into something no one saw coming. Before we get into what exactly was said that made Kelly stand up and walk off set, make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below telling us what you think really happened here. The morning started like any other taping of Today with Jenna and Friends. The studio buzzed with energy as crew members adjusted lights and checked microphones while the audience settled into their seats. Kelly Clarkson arrived right on time, flashing her signature smile, the same one that had made America fall in love with her since her American Idol days. She wore a deep burgundy blazer over a cream blouse, her hair styled in soft waves, looking every bit the confident star who had conquered both music and television. Jenna Hager greeted her warmly as Kelly walked to the couch, exchanging cheerful words with the other hosts who were part of that episode. The segment was meant to be fun, casual, and full of laughter. A light-hearted chat where Kelly could talk about her latest projects, her music, and her talk show. Jenna began with safe questions about Kelly's tour, her family, and how she managed to balance motherhood with her busy schedule. Kelly answered with her usual mix of humor and honesty, talking about the chaos of her daily life and how her children kept her grounded through it all. The audience laughed at her relatable stories, and everything seemed to be going exactly as planned. But then one of the guest hosts, who had been invited especially for that episode, decided to take things in a completely different direction. She leaned forward with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes and said, "You know, Kelly, I have to ask. There's been so much talk about your divorce and how public it became. Do you ever regret sharing so much? Do you think you might have overshared during that time?" The mood in the studio shifted instantly. Kelly's smile faltered for a brief moment before she recovered, her media training kicking in. She took a steady breath and replied, "Well, I think being real is important. I've always believed in sharing my truth, and I know it helps others who might be going through something similar. So no, I don't regret being open about what I was feeling." But the guest host didn't stop there. Her tone grew sharper, and several people in the audience exchanged uneasy glances. "But don't you think there's a fine line between being honest and using your personal pain for publicity?" she pressed. "You talked about it on your show, in interviews, even through your songs. Some people might say that feels more calculated than authentic." Jenna tried to jump in, sensing the tension rising, but Kelly lifted her hand, signaling she wanted to respond. Her expression had changed. The warmth was gone, replaced by something firmer and more guarded. She straightened up and said, "I'm sorry. Are you suggesting I used my divorce for attention? That I turned one of the hardest experiences of my life into a marketing plan?" The guest host shrugged with that same insincere smile. "I'm just saying what a lot of people are thinking," she said. "You've built your brand around being relatable, and conveniently, your divorce happened right as your talk show was gaining traction. The timing worked out well for you, didn't it?" The studio fell into complete silence. Even the crew stopped moving, frozen in shock. This wasn't the usual playful teasing you sometimes saw on morning shows. This was personal. Kelly's jaw tightened. She looked at Jenna, then back at the guest host, clearly deciding how to respond. When she finally spoke, her voice was calm but full of restrained anger. "You know what? I came here today as a favor because Jenna asked me to. I cleared my schedule, I showed up to have fun and connect with people. But I'm not going to sit here and be accused of faking pain for attention. My divorce was real. The heartbreak was real. The struggle of protecting my kids while going through all that in public was real. If you can't tell the difference between honesty and manipulation, that's on you." The guest host leaned back, looking smug, as if she'd gotten exactly what she wanted. She laughed lightly and said, "Oh, come on, Kelly, I'm just asking the tough questions. Isn't that what interviews are for? You can't expect everyone to just throw you softballs." Kelly's hands gripped the armrest tightly. "That's not journalism," she said sharply. "That's you making personal assumptions and calling them questions." There's a big difference between asking something challenging and making accusations. Jenna, now clearly panicked, tried to defuse things. Okay, maybe we should take a step back, she said with a shaky smile. Kelly, we didn't mean to make you uncomfortable. Let's talk about your new album. But the guest host interrupted again, refusing to let it go. I just find it interesting, she said, that you're getting so defensive. If you truly believe you did nothing wrong, why does this bother you so much? Maybe deep down, you know you crossed a line with how much you shared. Kelly looked at her for a long moment. You could almost see the decision forming in her mind, whether to stay or leave. The room was silent except for the faint hum of the studio lights. I'm reacting this way, Kelly said slowly, because you're sitting here analyzing me on live television like you're my therapist. You don't know me. You don't know what I went through. The nights I cried myself to sleep, the mornings I forced a smile for my kids when I felt like breaking down. You don't get to turn my pain into a headline. The guest host opened her mouth to speak, but Kelly stood up before she could. The audience gasped. Guests don't stand up mid-segment. They smile through it, they deflect. But Kelly was done pretending. You know what? She said, looking into the camera, then turning to Jenna. I've been told I'm too honest, too emotional, too much. Then I'm told I'm not open enough, not vulnerable enough. There's no winning. I came here in good faith, and I'm not going to sit here and be attacked for being human. Jenna quickly stood too, her voice trembling. Kelly, please. I'm so sorry. This isn't what we wanted. The guest host stayed seated, watching with a faint smirk. Kelly, I think you're overreacting, she said condescendingly. This is what interviews are. If you can't handle tough questions, maybe you shouldn't be doing press tours. Maybe just stick to your own show where you can control everything. That hit hard. Kelly froze, visibly shocked by how far the woman was willing to go. The other hosts looked stunned, unsure whether to step in. Kelly laughed. But it wasn't the kind of laugh anyone wanted to hear. You think I can't handle questions? She said in a low, steady voice. I've been asked everything under the sun for over 20 years. About my weight, my parenting, my relationships, my career. I can handle tough questions. What I won't handle is being insulted under the pretense of journalism. The guest host crossed her arms. I'm just doing my job, she said. People have questions about how you've handled your personal life. That's not me being mean. That's me being honest. Kelly shook her head with a small, bitter smile. No. Being honest would be saying, Kelly, some people think you've been too open about your divorce. How do you feel about that? That's fair. What you did was accuse me of turning my pain into a business plan. That's not honesty. That's disrespect. Jenna tried one last time. Kelly, please, we can take a short break, regroup, talk about your new album, please. Kelly turned to her, eyes soft with emotion. Jenna, I love you, she said quietly. And I know you didn't want this to happen. But I can't stay here and pretend everything's fine. That's not who I am. The guest host rolled her eyes, muttering, So you're just going to walk off set? That's the message you want to send? That when things get a little uncomfortable, you just leave? Kelly turned sharply, her eyes blazing. A tantrum, she repeated. You think setting a boundary is a tantrum? This is the problem. Women are expected to smile through discomfort and never speak up. But when we do, we're called emotional or dramatic. I'm done with that narrative. The audience was glued to the moment, some nodding in agreement, others too stunned to move. An entertainment reporter on the couch tried to mediate. Let's just take a breath, he said. Kelly, no one wants you to feel attacked. I think maybe things just got a bit out of control. Kelly shook her head. No, she said firmly. This didn't just get out of control. This was intentional. Those questions weren't asked in good faith. They were meant to provoke. And congratulations, she said, turning to the guest host. You got exactly what you wanted. The guest host's face reddened. My point, she snapped, is that celebrities can't have it both ways. You can't share everything and then get upset when people comment on it. You made it public. You don't get to be surprised by the response. Kelly took a slow step toward her. I shared my story, she said evenly, because I hoped it would help someone else. I talked about my struggles so others would know they weren't alone. I didn't do it for attention. I did it because I thought honesty mattered. She paused, her voice softening. Maybe I was wrong, Jen.